Star Trek writers take Starship Enterprise where it's never gone before.
Woke politics.
Even our entertainment is awash in bitter partisanship. Already that sentence sounds stupid in every conceivable way. The original Star Trek had the first interracial kiss on television screens. There was also a plot point at some point about Spock, like his vision was saved because he had a third eyelid. That means he was woke all along too. Now that's how you know I'm a true Star Trek nerd, not like these losers. All right, let's go. What do we got? Obviously this is stupid. Original series had, I forgot already, the first interracial kiss on TV screens. Yay, big deal. Yay, happy. It wasn't really a lovey-dovey kiss. That was kind of weird, but it still mattered. Okay, there is no more quintessential American story universe than Star Trek. Already sounds wrong. Okay, since its creation in 1966, the franchise has had myriad iterations on big screen and small. Basically invented the sci-fi convention, like a physical convention, or the idea of in sci-fi as fiction. That's weird. And has charmed audiences across every generation. But in 2 recent episodes, writers crossed the line where no Star Trek has gone before. That is to say, they got directly involved in partisan politics. This sounds like someone never watched Star Trek. I'm gonna be real with you. I love seeing right-wingers perpetually cope they've been on the wrong side of every cultural movement in American history. Oh yeah, here we go. MSNBC. Ted Cruz said a couple years ago, Star Trek's Wait, how does Ted Cruz talk? Like a worm. Star Trek's Captain Kirk was probably a Republican. No. The reputation he had was he was something of a womanizer and tried to sleep with all these alien women. Although, when you watch the show, that's actually not what happens. That's just the reputation people have developed about the character after the fact. Did you know if you watch Star Trek like I have, you know what? You know, did you know Spock fucks before Kirk does? Yep, he does. Might be worth going back and watching it. Bet you don't remember that. I'm a nerd. Okay, we don't care about Ted Cruz. First blatant example of electioneering on Star Trek Discovery, which I don't know because I haven't watched it because boohoo, I don't care about Star Trek Discovery, was a cameo by current and former Georgia gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams as none other than the president of Federation of Planets. I will admit, seems a little weird, but I don't really care too much. The second was a weird plot twist in the pilot of new show Strange New Worlds, in which the 2020 Capitol riot is depicted and blamed for starting a second American Civil War and the destruction of the planet. To put it more succinctly, Orange Man bad. Okay, this is the first I've heard of this. Is this true, or is this just one of an amalgamation of things? Because here's a hot take. Here's another thing. Because I'm a Star Trek nerd. I watched it. I know the shit. There's an episode in Star Trek Deep Space Nine where they get sent back to Earth with it in the 21st century. The show came out in the 90s, so in the end of the 20th century. But they get sent back to Earth in the 21st century, and poverty is terrible in certain parts of the country. A lot of people are unemployed. There's nowhere to get jobs, and there's kind of a pretty big class divide that results in a lot of riots. And then one of them asks, how did the 21st century get this bad, Captain? And he's like, I don't know.
By the early 2020s, there was a place like this in every major city in the United States. Welcome to the 21st century, Doctor.
Having seen a little of the 21st century, there is one thing I don't understand. How could they have let things get so bad?
That's a good question. I wish I had an answer.
To be fair, since the original 1960s Star Trek has always delved into cultural and societal issues, it's always been credited with diverse casts, tackling issues like saving the whales, remember that, and reflecting American and global foreign policy. Oh, I'm gonna flex some more of my nerd cred here. There's an episode of the original series where they engage in proxy war arming of different alien factions against the Klingons. That was kind of interesting. The Klingons show up and give the other side these new guns, and they say, hey, these new guns have this fancy technology called rifling. It will let the bullets and projectiles fire further than your other weapons will. Kirk shows up and helps the other faction, and I don't remember how the episode ends, I'm gonna be honest. Most likely they all die. Hold on. I have to look this up. Star Trek Capitol Riot. I've not heard of this. I don't really care about the show, to be honest, but I want to see. Where's the clip? Is there a clip? I will say there is kind of like an uncanny valley thing of like this sci-fi show is mentioning something that's happening like today. It's a little uncanny. We're gonna get copycucked, aren't we?
I've seen my future.
Yeah?
I'll show you yours.
I'm just gonna talk over it. Keep going. Whoop, whoop,
Our
whoop.
conflict also started with a fight for freedoms. We called it the Second Civil War, then the Eugenics War, and finally, just World War III. This was our last act.
Oh, that's it? Okay, that wasn't bad at all. The Eugenics Wars and World War III were events that happened in Star Trek already, so it looked like they just took footage of that and rolled it into all of it. All of it was supposed to happen during the 21st century, so that's actually not that much of a stretch now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I don't think there's any more. Okay, that's it. Ooh, what a fucking snowflake. Okay. All right, let's carry on. All of that should live long and prosper, but these two recent incidents go a good deal farther. This isn't issue advocacy, it's pure partisan politics. I don't know, could you try not fucking trying to have a fucking coup because you're a sore loser who lost the election? When Bernie Sanders lost, I was sad. And you know what? I didn't fucking storm the Democratic headquarters to try to overturn it. No, I sulked, and then I got over it. Boo fucking who? You're a fucking adult. Fucking grow up and deal with it. This is part of a broader galaxy of problems, as we saw recently with Disney, which owns Star Wars, going to battle with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. I think DeSantis drew first blood on that one. The central confusion here is the difference between showing broad support for things like basic civil rights and openly advocating for one political party's answers for securing them. They didn't advocate for anything in that scene. What the fuck? So, for example, almost everyone supports voting rights, but that isn't the same as supporting Stacey Abrams. And the Stacey Abrams thing is a little weird, I will admit. Almost everyone condemns the Capitol riot and political violence, but that's not the same as placing unique blame on one single event from one side of the spectrum. Well, that's just wrong. Everything in that sentence is wrong. Almost everyone condemns the Capitol riot. Day one, Matt Gaetz went out and said they were actually Antifa. There are still Republicans who say it was Antifa and left-wing people who did it. They'll build it up. They'll build it up and up and up. But the moment it happens, nope, you're on your own. You're actually left-wing. It's false flag. And there was nothing about that clip that really placed blame. I think it was just shown as the beginning of a conflict, which, well, isn't really wrong considering what happened in Buffalo lately. Ultimately, the problem here is this kind of political signaling is alienating for those fans who are not part of the Democratic Party political tribe. I'm gonna be honest, if you're a conservative, you're probably not a big diehard Star Trek fan. These two things don't go together. Also, have you been to Star Trek conventions? They're fucking... When I think of the kind of people who would go to Star Trek conventions and the inevitable Star Trek orgies that come with it, I don't think of conservatives. Just saying. As a fan myself, it hasn't made me turn off the shows. I feel like you're not a fan. You know how he's not a fan? Because he's gotten this far into the... We've gotten this far into the article, and he hasn't, like, dropped any specific details about the previous shows, while I have dropped several that only a true, actual nerd would. Listen, I'm using the gatekeeping. I'm doing the nerd gatekeeping for good, okay? I'm doing this for you. David Marcus, we're gatekeeping this cuck and keeping him out of the Star Trek conventions, okay? Listen, we're going to go to Star Trek conventions. We're gonna get our shirts, all of our different captain shirts, and this guy, we're gonna like print out leaflets of his face.
You may not realize it, but you are currently
and
funding Venezuela.
Celiac, I missed you so much. I hope you've been well. 3 shootings in 1 weekend. Pisses me off.
I miss it too. Z_Darapfel. I've not been well, but I'm okay. Take care of yourself. Thank you, by the way. What was I saying? We're gonna take photos of him and we're gonna pass them out, and he's not gonna be able to come to the convention. We're gatekeeping him. Thank you. Yes. Okay. As a fan myself, it hasn't made me turn off the shows, but it's jarring and also breaks the narrative spell of fantasy and science fiction, which is why people tune in the first place. Okay. Can I do another nerdy thing? I don't know if we're not gonna be able to show this one because of CBS owns the copyrights. But did you know there's an episode of Star Trek Voyager where 7 of 9 gets into a wrestling match with none other than Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson? I am not making this up. This happened. Say something, Dwayne.
Thanks insulting me by putting you in the pit to face me.
Oh, rock tits. I love it. Oh, but Stacey Abrams is a road too far, I guess. Also, like, 7 of 9, fucking Rick Berman was, like, such a sexist piece of trash as a producer. 7 of 9, look, she's like a freed Borg drone. Let's give her giant metal pointy tits. Space! Rick Berman! It feels very much like the writers and creators of the new line of Star Trek shows, which also include Picard, don't think just writing a good TV show is important enough work. To be fair, I feel like they're not writing any good TV shows, but that's another matter. Like so much of corporate America, they think they have to save the country and the planet while they do it. Leave the planet saving for the fictional Star Trek Starship Enterprise. Corporate America isn't saving shit. Corporate America fucking sucks. They don't think they're saving the country. Some corporations are like, yeah, look at us. Look at how much we care. Give us your fucking money. I thought complaining about corporate America was like what we do. That phrase, corporate America, I can't help it. I'm thinking of Alec Baldwin's puppet in Team America World Police. Corporate America. Global warming. New Star Trek sucking has nothing to do with wokeism. It's because it's currently being produced by corporatist hacks who only care about nostalgia baiting for money. Absolutely true. 100%. You know what would be really cool for a Star Trek show? A Star Trek show that takes place in the Mirror Universe. The whole show is backstabbing, and we get entered in these complex moral scenarios, and the characters literally do the worst thing possible. They'll never do this, but oh my god, I would love that so much. The irony is that all 3 new Star Trek live action shows are quite progressive in the diversity of their casting. Star Trek has always been diverse in their casting. What we need are some more aliens in Star Trek, let's be real. You know, we see all these ships, but they're like human dominated. Let's get a ship with like a bunch of weirdos. And despite hysterical concerns about a backlash that never actually happened, everyone is on board as long as the story and the acting are good. That's why I'm not on board. I don't really like the new Star Trek. Ever since Abrams fucking tainted it. J.J. Abrams! Artists can, always have, and should use their work to hold up a mirror to their culture and society, even to advocate for broad agenda items. What they shouldn't do is beam the equivalent of a 30-second Democrat Party political ad into the middle of a space adventure. Okay, see, he tried to do a reference here to Star Trek with beaming, but that's like a really common one that exists in like common cultural parlance. Beam us up, Scotty. What he really should have done here is he should have elaborated on how the Stacey Abrams appearance was a Democrat Party political ad, but he doesn't really say anything about it. I don't even know what happens in it. See, if you were a real Star Trek nerd and you really watched Star Trek, boy, you would have put this in here, but you didn't. You didn't even graduate from the academy, did you? I'm gatekeeping you so hard right now, Mr. Marcus. Perhaps what America lacks more than anything today is a shared set of strong stories that help explain our world. What? He's trying to channel Jordan Peterson here, but he's not doing so well. Even our entertainment is awash in bitter partisanship. Okay, that's so bad. We've always had bitter partisanship in entertainment. It leaves Americans too few places to ponder their lives and communities outside the context of red versus blue. Boy, go outside. Enjoy the local parks that you voted against. Because it's socialism. Star Trek is one of a small handful of entertainment branches with the popularity scope and rates to be that shared story. But to do so, its creators must choose that universality over scoring cheap, predictable, and partisan political points. Wow, garbage. Garbage article. Boring. Sad. So sad. I don't think this guy's watched any Star Trek. I don't think you're a real nerd, Mr. David Marcus. I think you're a fake gamer girl nerd man. This joke is not working. End the segment. That's it. I'd like to give a thank you to last month's patron backers: ASU Asian Woman, Benjamin Kessler, Boris Lowe, Dios, Ian Diaby, Here Comes the Rat, James Paul, Jai Palamo, Lionel, Mellow Cheddar, Suzanne Hendrickson, and Xylorp.